I am the big tank.
On the battlefield of life, nothing's harder than a tank. Yeah, have you ever met a man, heart's full of love, bigger than a tank?
Big tank.
He served in a few wars, he's a veteran that stands for a cause. For the best interviews and news, just keep it glued to the tank.
I am the tank, big
Big
tank.
Tank Talk.
Tank.
Big Tank Talk.
Hey friends, Big Tank here with another episode of Big Tank Talk. I have the unique pleasure today of introducing you to a band called BigDaddyRooster. Welcome to Big Tank Talk, gentlemen.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Now, if you guys would, for our viewers, introduce yourselves from my right, which is on that end, and then go across.
I'm Cody Jones, aka the Rooster.
I am Tim Davis, aka Big Daddy.
I'm Neil Eggemeyer.
Okay. Well, I'm pleased to meet you guys. I've met Rooster already on Clapper, but I'm happy to meet all three of you. We're just going to jump right into this because with three of you, this will probably be a little bit longer than my normal interviews, which is fine with me. So I want to start with each one of you. Rooster, we'll start with you. What first got you into music?
Just listening to music on the radio and watching my mom play the piano. She was a big gospel pianist and was raised here in Missouri playing the piano with her church and very musical. And she always brought that element to my life, even as a small child. Her mother did it too, my grandma, and all of my mom's sisters, all of the aunts pretty much played and sang. So gospel was number one and country music was number one growing up as a kid. So it was probably my parents and listening to the radio at first.
Okay. Big Daddy?
Big Daddy, yeah. So I first started singing in church, and I was singing about this the other day. Little Baptist Church in Lone Dale, Missouri, called Prospect Baptist Church. I was about 5 years old. My mother always sang in the choir, always played piano, and so I really didn't have a choice. I was going to sing or play something. So growing up in a family full of musicians, we all had instruments, and my whole life has been centered around music. Starting out singing old Southern gospel songs. I still do. It's still my favorite. So that's pretty much my story. Of course, growing up out here where we live, today they call it old country, but then it wasn't old country, an outlaw country and all those good things. All the good classics. To me, they weren't classics. I'm the old guy in the band, by the way. So I still listen to the same stuff. Of course, I like new stuff too. Good mix of both, but pretty much just grew up in music all around.
And let's round it out. The answers here.
Yeah, music's always been a big part of my life. I think some of my earliest memories are singing along with the Beatles, Fleetwood Mac, bands like that. Started playing piano at a young age, quickly moved on to drums, and kind of been playing music ever since. I think I'm different from the other guys in that I'm fairly new to country. I'm fairly new to old country, especially. Every song that I hear is fun to play. I like playing any kind of music.
These are bluegrass things.
So bluegrass, rock and roll, anything in between.
That's awesome. I like all genres of music, so it's all good to me. And I was a big fan of the Beatles and Fleetwood Mac and a lot of classic rock groups growing up as well. So let me ask you guys, are you all songwriters?
I think me and Tim and I were probably, well, Tim, I don't know if you said, did you say you really?
Yeah, Tim's fine.
Okay. I forgot if he actually said his real name.
Tim Davis, yeah.
We both like to write together most of the lyrical stuff and chord changes. And Neil's really good at kind of just adding certain elements to the music that we normally wouldn't add to it,
Spice.
like flavoring, seasoning.
Yeah, I've never really tried to write. It's something I'd aspire to do someday.
No, he's got it in him though, because it's coming out of him pretty well.
Yeah, they drag it out.
Well, I would say if you're working with two guys that already are songwriters, they'll bring you along, I'm sure. Let me ask you guys this, and again, Rooster, we'll start with you. Would you describe your creative process?
Usually it starts with me having an idea in my truck, honestly, and I would just record it with my phone to a voice clip real quick, and I'll go back home and work on it, and I'll bring it to Tim or the whole band, and we will sit there and hash it up.
Okay, Tim?
It always hits me in the quiet moments when I can find those moments to be still and kind of open myself up to it. It's when the pipeline, I call it, gets turned on. Problem with that is I'm never in a good place to write it down and record it. But that's when my good songs that I thought were my good songs have always hit me when I force myself to be quiet and still and unencumbered by noise. Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but the third gentleman, what is your name again?
Neil.
Neil. All right, Neil, while you're not the songwriter that they are, you do contribute. So what is your process when you're contributing to a song with Big Daddy Rooster?
Sure. So I think it's a blend, almost 50-50 of theory and just feel. It's a blend of knowing the scales, knowing the mathematics behind it, but then at some point you just have to throw that out and just kind of follow what's already kind of dancing in your mind. You just kind of have to accept it and go with it. So it's kind of that balance in there for me.
Okay. Next question. Again, if you guys could answer individually, and starting with Rooster, what's the best advice you've been given as you proceed in your musical career?
Good question. Well, I've seen a lot of older, veteran musicians say the same thing. Stop doing any heavy drugs if you are. Get rid of your addiction. If you're a heavy drinker, you need to try to cut that back. And also positivity. You need to focus on positivity in your life, whether it be your belief in God or whatever gets you more closer to that positivity. So I think those three things will definitely be a huge influence on you, because you'll never make it if you're addicted. It's hard to stay on top. Even if you make it in one hit wonder and you're addicted, you're just going to fizzle out, crash and burn, and die.
That's probably pretty good advice for everybody, not just musicians and people trying to make it a music business. So that was excellent advice. Tim, how about you?
Couple things. I remember when I was first, and by the way, I played rock bands too. So when I was first starting to play and write music for that, a guy who I really respected, he's still out gigging too and writing, told me the KISS thing. I've all heard that my whole life. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. And the old adage, you hear this from all songwriters, you have to paint a picture. And I think that's one of the most important things to me is to try and paint a picture in a song in the first verse and give your listener, the vision of what's going on. And paint a picture, keep it simple. But as a musician, all the people I respect and admire, when you ask them that question, they're always going to say, you got to work. You got to work hard, and you can't quit. And when you feel like quitting, you got to work harder. And I think that's true with any job or anything you do in life. You're going to be good at it. You've got to work it. There are those who've been touched by God. He reached his hand down and touched them. And I'm so jealous of those people. But most of us have to get out here and work hard and struggle and get past our own demons. to get to the point where we're confident we can do it.
And Neil,
Well, those are going to be hard to top. I agree wholeheartedly with both of those. I think I would add, don't be afraid. You know, you cannot have fear and go into it. Don't be afraid to fail, but don't be afraid to try a different genre or pick up a different instrument. So, try a different venue, try different people if it's not working out. You know, the music is always going to be there if you let it. You know.
I would say you all been given some pretty good advice as you embark into your music career. Let me ask you, we know what got you into music. What inspires you to make music now? Rooster?
That's a real good question. I think it's just because it's ingrained in me. It's like it's part of my life. It's so intertwined in who I am. I am not going to stop doing it, no matter what I try. It's probably, it ranks high as an addiction. It's probably the biggest addiction in my life, and I pretty much have to cater to it. You know, I have to do what it wants me to do in a lot of ways, because there's times where I don't feel like playing, or I want to be out of the social media realm, or I don't want to do a show, I don't want to be in a band, I don't want to do nothing. I just want to pretend like I'm dead and sit on the couch and watch TV. And it's not but like a month or two later, I want to play a show, or I want to play some music. So it's like being bitten by the musical vampire. It's just never going to go away.
That sounds fair to me. Tim, what inspires you?
Well, I don't want to go too deep, but that's an awesome question. And most of us have been broken. And I got to tell you, those times in my life when it was dark, and there wasn't much hope. The common was always music. Of course, my Lord and Savior, but always music. The times in my life when I couldn't express myself vocally or with an instrument, were times that were not good ones. And the best times of my life have been playing music. You know, having children, of course, that's the most important thing in your life, and raising them. But I'm talking about me specifically. I'm happiest when I'm playing music, and I'm old enough as ever to be happy about it. So I like playing music, but just knowing that music's always there for you, and even when you have nothing left, it's there. So that's where I got my favorite.
The music itself can be an inspiration. I know music inspires me in a lot of ways, and I'm not a musician. I just enjoy it.
Yes.
I don't know if Rooster has told you, but I'm a fan of you. I'm a big fan of your music as a group, not just Rooster.
Yeah.
All right, Neil, what's your inspiration for embarking in this music career?
Well, I think on a less deep level, it's just fun. You know, there's no joy that I could compare to nailing a solo, or when you all are working on a new song, you stop, you know, at the same time, you just look up, and it's an amazing feeling, and it's better than drugs and alcohol. It really is. And it touches into some spiritual realms, but you know, on the surface, it's just really fun. It's a good, healthy pastime.
You know, fun is a good reason to do anything. So I can certainly understand that. So let me ask you guys now, moving on. In the music business, and this is not genre specific, so you can pick anybody. But if you're given the opportunity to choose who you could open for, whether it be a group or an individual performing act, who would you choose to open for?
Dead or alive, doesn't matter.
Dead or alive, just if you had the choice.
That is such a tough question. Because I listen to so different, many styles, genres, and artists. I've always been a big fan of heavy metal, like Randy Rhoads. AC/DC, you know. But I would never want to open up for this guy. So I'm thinking more along the lines of country artists I can relate to. Maybe Chris Stapleton today in today's age. I could probably relate to him. He's pretty down to earth. He's got great music. Um, and it doesn't matter to me whether I open up for my biggest, idol that I listen to all the time, my musical inspiration. It's somebody that I can connect with today that would feel good with going on the road. It could be Lord Davis or Wes Ship, even just an artist. Or I don't even feel comfortable probably doing like something with Oliver Anthony because he's like this weird. He got this weird thing going about him. I don't. What would you call it? Phenomenon.
Don't plan it.
Yeah.
But somebody more down to earth at a higher level than me, but yet good that I can really learn from, that would take me under their wing, an artist like that. So
Right
probably like even Rob George, if he was on tour, he'd be a great person to tour with,
Yeah, I've interviewed Rob George. He is quite a talented person, so I can understand that. So Tim, if you was your choice, so who you could open for, who would it be?
Yeah, this is. I'm going right for it, okay? Because it's no question. Now, does this mean though I get to hang out with them in the back and play a little music maybe with them, or
VIP?
yeah, VIP with the person? James Taylor. It'll be James Taylor, hands down.
Yeah, I was a fan of James Taylor too, so he's an excellent choice. And Neil?
Early 70s Grateful Dead.
Mm.
Excellent answers to all three of you, and I can't. Even if I could find fault in them, I wouldn't. Now, related to that question, but it is just a hair different. If you could choose to, who would you collaborate with?
I think it's almost the same for me. Any of those artists that I mentioned, Wes Ship or Davis, Chris Stapleton, even, and trying to think of his name right now. The guy that sings in color.
Oh,
Jamie Johnson?
Yeah, Jamie Johnson. I think he would be an excellent role model. So it's pretty much along the same lines. I'm just looking for somebody who'd be really cool to learn from, who's been in the business, who's not just trying to make a dollar, who really loves and is passionate about what they do.
Okay. Tim?
of course, James Taylor, but I don't want to choose him because I already chosen for the other one. But I'll throw another one out there, and this is going to show my age, but Chris Christopherson is somebody I've always thought, man, if I could ever sit down with that guy, could have whatever, that would be so cool. Just because of that mind, the musical mind.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tim, I think we're probably close in age then, because Chris Christopherson's an excellent answer for that. I think he'd be great to work with to pick his mind because he knows more about music than I've probably forgotten. So
Absolutely true. Yeah.
And Neil, who would you choose?
I'm going to land on Johnny Cash.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Right
not
on.
much of an elaboration. I think I thought about saying Jerry Garcia. Yeah, I'm obviously a big Grateful Dead fan, but something about Johnny Cash's style, just over the decades, the different styles that he's gotten into, the different themes that he's touched, and he, it's just a cool sound and cool themes, And I think
I can definitely understand that. Johnny Cash is one of my musical idols.
Absolutely.
And I've started learning to play guitar simply because I enjoy it. I enjoy seeing so many of my friends that I know through social media that can play. And I figure 60 is not too young to learn, or not too old to learn.
I'm 58. I just started on guitar. I've been surrounded by guitar players my whole life, and I'm a piano player. And I've been surrounded by them and made fun of them my whole life, but I just now started guitar. So we're right in the same place.
That's awesome. All right, this might be an easier question. What's your favorite song to perform? Start with the rooster again. It's normal.
That's actually not an easy question.
That's a hard question.
We could play up to 5 hours. So, um, mm, I always like the slow ballads where I can really let my vocals shine and the ambience, the medium, the soft, the loud, and bring it back down again. The different levels fun. To me, that appeals to me. So I'm going to have to say something more along the lines of, and that's just a tough question. Any country ballad pretty much that we do. Elton John's got a great song I love to do. Rocket Man, that's a great song. I really get him to doing that live. It's almost a country song, kind of.
It's an ale.
Mhm. Yeah, I do like songs in the key of A. There's so many. I also like to rock it out. I mean, you can ask Big Daddy here. A lot of people don't know this, but I play the lead guitar and I play pretty good. More like rock style.
Yeah.
Like Zach Wild and Randy Rhoads, that style. I don't let it come out too often because of what we're doing, our project here. I'm actually trying to learn how to flat kick.
Right on.
I like our originals too a lot.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. Any original, I mean, is my favorite. But if we're talking covers, I'm a slow ballad, money note, make the lady in the third row cry. So, you know, the stuff we play out, cover me up, probably. Just give them, Whiskey and You, any Stapleton song.
Yeah.
Fancy Whiskey, of course. We've never done Cold yet, but that's one of the hit songs I like to do. Ballads.
Neil?
Not like a little more upbeat, I think. I'm thinking songs like Folsom Prison Blues, songs like Layla, just bluesy rock, something with a good solo, something with a good kind of foot tap, kind of head nod to it, something that people know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are all good, thoughtful answers. I didn't think it would be difficult. I know songs I like to sing. I'm not a singer, but my favorite song to sing is probably A Boy Named Sue by Johnny Cash. So I can understand it might be a little difficult to answer that one. Let me go on to something maybe a little more serious. If you could change anything about the music business, what would you change?
I think that it's already changing. It's kind of going the way, starting to turn the way I would love it to turn. Oliver Anthony kind of helped spearhead that movement a little bit by he basically said, "This is my music, and if you want to be a part of my music, I'm not going to work for you. You're going to work for me. I'm the artist. This is my business. This is my song. These are my songs, and y'all are going to have to work for me." He turned around the whole music industry. He was offered like $8 million for a record deal, from Nashville. So it's amazing. So I'm trying to kind of like use what he's done to try to inspire myself as we go through this process right now, since we're just starting out, of navigating through all of this red tape of the record industry, how to get a song on Spotify, how to get that song to be viral, or at least just get enough popularity to generate a following. We're trying to generate a following at best. Have enough fans to where we can keep doing this and pays enough bills to where we can keep doing it and keep growing as an artist. And that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Okay. Tim?
So, repeat the question for me, so I make sure my answer is correct. If I don't make sure my answer is correct. The question was, what would I change about the music industry?
Yeah.
And I kind of agree with Cody a lot. When you and I were growing up, there was really only a couple stations to listen to, and they played the same 20 or 30 songs. And I would go hear people play live and think, God, this guy plays better than anybody on the radio. But he had no resource to get it out there. In today's world, the resources are in your hand. Everybody's got one. So I think that's a great, except for idiots like me that can't work in the phones. I think there's a great change, and I think it is changing. I think Chloe's right. In 10 years, man, who knows? But I say the more the merrier. The more stuff, the more people playing and recording and getting the music out there and listen to. I didn't see anybody who's awesome. So I didn't say keep changing the way you're changing the music industry. We'll all be happy.
Neil?
Yeah, I have a similar answer. I'm not to be a smartass, but I don't think I would change it. I think it changes by itself.
Yeah.
I think it's a back and forth between the artists, the producers, the people in the industry, but most importantly, the fans. There is not an industry without the fans. I think as soon as an artist focuses too much on the industry, it becomes a little bit like a dictatorship, or it's hard to focus on both. And as a musician, I like playing my instruments. I like playing with these guys, and the fact that we can be interviewed as a band in this day and age, and we can release songs on Spotify, means that something is working. However it's changing, it's working.
That's fair. I respect all those answers. Obviously, I don't have the answers for what should be changed in music. I just know what I like, so that's what I look for. And since I've started interviewing, you guys are the first group that I've interviewed as a group, and I appreciate you letting me do that. And hopefully we'll get a lot of eyeballs on this interview, and then that can lead you to better things. So just a couple more questions I want to ask you guys. Have you been on tour yet of any kind?
No. No. I think we're in the phase where we just kind of generate a good fan base and following, to the point where we can justify doing that, like leaving our businesses, leaving our families. A lot of us have animals to tend to, and it'd be just leaving all that stuff to go on this tour. Maybe a mini tour would probably be best suited for us coming up here in the next several months to a year. We're in the beginning foundational, time period where we're just trying to get those fans and followers. Once we get that buzz going, it's a lot easier where they'll just open their door for you because they see, they got so many followers. And they have this out on Spotify with so many streams, and the doors just kind of end up opening for you over time. As long as we keep doing what we're doing, we feel like that's definitely something that we look forward to in the future.
Absolutely.
That's a fair answer. Let me, before I let Tim and Neil get to that question, let's redirect this question. What do you anticipate will be the most difficult thing about being on tour?
Is that for me again?
I'm going to start with Tim on this one.
I think the same old story with everybody. So let's be away from your loved ones unless you get to take them with you. That's the thing I would think about the most, being away from the people I love and care about. And, but, I think everybody would understand that. Know your passion and what you're going to do, and the ones that love it. But I think that would be it. Neil?
Yeah, same. And logistics. Getting time off from the boss and that kind of thing.
Okay, and Rooster?
Yeah, pretty much. I agree with both of them. It's a combination of things. Leaving your family, if they see how much you worked on it and got this far, they're probably going to support you. So I'm sure that would work out. But then you have other logistical issues to figure out, like what you're going to do with your job if you got a day job. What you're going to do, it's a lot of planning, a lot of scheduling. It's got to be just right. Everything from booking a gig to getting time off work for that time period, having somebody take care of your animal while you're gone. There's just so many aspects you have to consider when you just at our age, we're not like, teenagers or in our 20s where we could just say, hey, let's go on tour, That's not going to happen for us. We got a lot of stuff to consider.
That's absolutely reasonable. And being a veteran, I know how hard it is to be separated from family. So I can certainly understand that being a difficult part for touring. What is with the music business, what's your biggest fear? Brewster, we'll start with you again.
I think being shut down, people telling you no, and doors closing. I think that's a big fear behind everybody's head in the music realm, because they fear that somebody's going to say no, or tell them their music sucks, or you can't do this, or we're going to let you go this far, but you got to be kidding if we're going to let you go to this far. It's always that fear in musicians' head, that there's going to be a limit, and I think the limit is usually what we place on ourselves by that fear. So it's just something we have to work. We have to work it out every day. We have to realize it. We have to go into it almost fearless in order to be successful.
Absolutely. Tim?
I don't want to sound arrogant or cocky or anything, because I'm not, but I really don't fear it. And I just don't. The song, Fear is a Liar. It's true. It's a liar. And it can destroy your whole creativity. If you're afraid of things. I'll go back to, if you're working hard and doing the right things, fear's not an issue.
Okay. Neil?
Yeah, I think there's a difference between fear and anxiety on some level.
Yeah.
And I think I'm pretty fearless when it comes to playing music and from the industry, and at the same time, I might be a big ball of anxiety before a show. I think those are kind of different emotions, and they're both healthy. I think being fearless, but being a little anxious is good. But in general, I don't really have any big fears about playing music.
Okay, that's fair. One more question, and I'd like each of you to answer it individually, and then conglomerate that into a group answer if you could as well. For Big Daddy Rooster, where do you guys see yourselves, say, 5 or 10 years down the road?
That's a long time, really, bigger scope of music. I still see us putting out great songs, and maybe at an album level versus a single release at that point. And I see us doing many tours probably by that time. And possibly even playing very lucrative shows, like shows, places we'd never dreamed we'd ever get invited to play by that point. Not too big, but in our eyes, it's big. I'm not saying we're going to be playing at the Rhine, but just invited, maybe opening up for an artist or a major recording artist that we never dreamed we'd open up for someone that we really dig. Being invited to certain small circles, maybe too. I see us getting into that run where we're just starting to really break into the actual structure that is the music industry as it is today. It's going to take that long, probably.
Okay, that's fair. Tim?
Yeah, I agree with all those things Corey just said, and I would think, 10 years from now, I'd like to hear the words, Big Daddy Rooster has a library of work that's worthy of all the accolades it's received and all these things that has changed so many lives. That would be wonderful. No, but seriously, it'd be fun to look back at the 10 years and have some work out there that people have enjoyed, relate to, which affected them, which lifted them up, and it was positive, and the hard work according to it paid off. That's all really I do. Everybody can have the money. I just want to share what I feel like I need to share.
All right, that's awesome. Neil?
I'm thinking of a Jerry Garcia quote when he was asked how he wants to be remembered. And he said, I'd like to be remembered as a competent musician. And that always stuck with me. And I think that's the case. You know, it'd be great if we could play the line. It'd be great if we could play sellout shows. But, you know, when I'm a really old man, if I could look back and say, man, we played some good music and we touched them live, that's more than good enough. You know, that's kind of the point.
Yeah, I just wanted to. I just want my brother to tell me sometime I'm good.
Good luck with that.
I feel you. Yeah.
Okay. At this point, guys, I've begun with my interviews, allowing the people that I interview to do a shout out. It could be for person, it can be for music you've released, it could be for your family. That part of it, it doesn't matter to me. It's just an opportunity for you guys to shout somebody out.
Right on.
Rooster.
Right. I'd like to shout out to my family, my wife, first of all, because she's always by my side supporting me. She's in the trenches with me, you know. She's my battle buddy. So first and foremost, her. And also on a second note, the band I'm with here, these guys are excellent. They've been great bandmates, and they've really helped me to, I guess, help tap into the creativity that's locked inside of me. So I'm very appreciative of that. And I'd like to shout out to our music. Right now, we only have one song on Spotify. That's a song I wrote in 2020, not related to this project, but we still perform it. We're considering recording it someday as a band, Elusive. It's actually on Spotify now. If you'd like to stream it, you can see what I was doing back in 2020 versus like we're doing now. And that will help tremendously get our following up. And on social media, of course, we'll continue to support us. That's awesome because that's exactly what we need to get going. Everybody, thank
Okay,
you.
Tim.
Yeah. Shout out number one to my mother. My mother just turned 90, and my mother set me down at the piano at a very young age, and would take my fingers and put those notes and say, "This is a chord, and this is a C, and this is whatever." But the thing that she really made me, she was an alto, and she sang harmonies in church choir, and so I grew up learning to sing harmonies, and she taught me that harmonies are more important than leads. Of course, well, important. So big shout out to her and the guy behind the camera right now, Rob, Fifth Beatle. He's come back here. Rob. Yeah, Rob, come around and show your face. Shout out to Rob.
He's at all of our shows doing our audio, doing
He
our
works
video.
hard. Yeah, and he's learning the saxophone. So who knows?
DJ Rob.
DJ Rob. And to the band, yes. Shout out to this band. And making some beautiful music. I'm learning from both of you guys, even you, Rob. Constantly. Well, thank you.
And Neil.
Yeah, it's going to sound like a broken record at this point, but I think first shout out to my mom. She pushed me on the piano at a young age. And good news there. Also shout out to these guys.
Even Rob?
Even Rob. These guys were able to find a good balance of fun and work and pushing each other, but also having fun with it. Every friend along the way that taught me a thing or two. I've had a couple great music teachers. You know, there's one from high school that, you know, we didn't always get along in class, but, you know, it was one of those teachers that you remember and they remember you. And then the more recent years, my life partner and fiance, who puts up with listening to me practice all the time and pretends to care when I discover something new on the guitar.
Guys, I got to tell you, it's been a genuine pleasure to interview you guys and get to know you a little bit. My friends that were watching this, if you feel like there was questions I should have asked Big Daddy Rooster, but I didn't, by all means, put it in the comments. If I can get them to answer the questions, maybe in a future interview, I could do that, or they may even answer them in the comments themselves. Please give us a like on this interview and subscribe to Big Tank Talk, because we still got great things coming. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Pleasure. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much for what you do.
Thanks, Big.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity of meeting the other two members of the band, Rooster.
Yeah.
I told you before, what little I've heard, I'm a fan, so I'm ready to hear more.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
And good luck with future endeavors. And one last question. Down the road, say maybe 6 months or a year, if things are working out well for you, would you be willing to come back and do another interview?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be great.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you guys. And that's been this episode of Big Tank Talk. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.